This page is the front cover of the official Nintendo magazine. Looks like a Christmas issue from '97 going by the Crimbo Pudding headline, right when everyone was buzzing about N64. Main feature is Diddy Kong Racing can't go wrong with a bit of kart racing, especially with Rare involved back then. They're really pushing it as a must-play game. Reckon there's over 100 game shots inside, which sounds like a lot of screenshots for back then. Looks like they're giving away free Nintendo All-Star Battle cards and a free book guide for Diddy Kong Racing. Typical magazine freebies to get you to buy it. They're also bragging about having every game for Christmas rated and tested to death, along with tips and cheats, and how to get an N64 for under £100. Good value back then, especially if you were after a console for Christmas. Classic magazine cover layout, gets the job done. The next page is a full-page advert for Diddy Kong Racing, hammering home how action-packed it is. They've got this crash helmet all battered and bruised, with labels pointing out each bit of damage, like fence post nail and pterodactyl droppings. Bit over the top. But it gets the message across that it's a wild ride. They're really pushing the adventure angle, saying you can race anywhere, land, sea or air, in a true free-roaming adventure. The text talks about needing guts, speed and savvy to survive, whether you're in a plane, car or hovercraft, so they're clearly showing off the vehicle variety, which was pretty decent for a kart racer back then. It boasts 4-player action, 8 characters, 30 tracks, and of course they're plugging the Rumble Pack saying you'll feel every impact, which was the big gimmick at the time, wasn't it? Victory is out there. Go get it! Bit dramatic, even for a games advert. Right at the bottom, in big red letters, it's the fastest, most powerful games console on Earth for the N64, which is pure marketing bluster. But it did look pretty good at the time compared to the PlayStation. It's a proper full-on hype job for Diddy Kong Racing, clearly the big Christmas game they're pushing in this issue. Issue 63 of the magazine, the Christmas 1997 edition, is a festive celebration featuring Diddy Kong and the blue elephant from Diddy Kong Racing on the cover. This issue heavily promotes Diddy Kong Racing with a free 32-page tips book and Nintendo All-Star Battle cards. Inside, the news section covers new games, including FIFA 98 and Forsaken 64. The reviews section highlights Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye 007, Best N64 Game to Date, Extreme G, and Top Gear Rally. Other games reviewed include Mace, The Dark Age, Lamborghini 64, Mischief Makers, and Chameleon Twist. The issue also includes a tips center, testing times for controllers and memory packs, and news about The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. An N64 console can be purchased for under £100 as well. A magazine page from 1997 excitedly announces a price drop for the Nintendo 64, now priced at £99.99. The article highlights this as a major move to challenge Sony's PlayStation, with the headline, N64 second price drop. Inside, the magazine promises content like top game recommendations, including Legend of Zelda 64, Yoshi's Story, and a chance to win Diddy Kong Racing and GoldenEye. Nintendo's distributor and game developers like Ocean Software and Rare express enthusiasm, emphasizing the positive impact on gamers and the industry, with quotes and screenshots showcasing popular N64 titles. The overall tone is highly promotional, aiming to generate pre-Christmas excitement for the console. This N64 focus page celebrates price drops on games, making the console more accessible. Konami is bringing Goemon 5 and Quest 64, Holy Magic Century, to the platform, a welcome addition. A price reduction of around £5 on many games brings the cost down to £55, though still significant. Several titles, including GoldenEye 007, Bomberman 64, and Diddy Kong Racing, are now under £50, considered pre-Christmas bargains. Reader opinions range from hopeful, anticipating the price drops will boost sales, to acknowledging the savings, but also wishing more games were available. A brain strain. Quiz tests players' N64 knowledge, while images of the featured games and quotes from developers highlight the positive impact of the price cuts. Developers from Duke Nukem 64 and Konami express their excitement regarding the price reductions and increased sales. This page reviews the top 10 64 games for Christmas. Diddy Kong Racing tops the list, praised as a classic kart racer. GoldenEye 007 is second, a lauded 3D shooter. Super Mario 64, Lilat Wars, Star Fox 64, ISS 64, Mario Kart 64, Extreme G, Pilot Wings 64, Duke Nukem 64, and Top Gear Rally complete the top 10. Special awards highlight Super Mario 64's visuals, Extreme G's speed, Lilac Wars Action, Diddy Kong Racing's Racing, and GoldenEye's Multiplayer. The top 5 N64 things focuses on multiplayer essentials: 4-player Diddy Kong Racing, extra controllers, a rumble pack, 4-player GoldenEye, and an official Nintendo magazine subscription. The reviews were a helpful guide for Christmas gift ideas, especially with games becoming more affordable. This page highlights a free Nintendo All-Star Battle Cards game included with the magazine, presented as a Christmas gift. The card game instructions are simple. Players compare stats like speed, power, height, star quality, and game fame to win hands. The page also criticizes several video games, including Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Hexen, and FIFA 64. Finally, there's a subscription offer for 6 months at £12, emphasizing early access to stories, reviews, screenshots, and tips. The page encourages reader feedback on the card game and suggests character ideas for future sets. Yoshi's story for the N64 is showcased in the news section, with Nintendo unveiling the title screen of the 2D platformer. The game will utilize a 64 meg cart and boasts gorgeous 2D graphics, reminiscent of the Super NES original, with familiar characters returning. Described as the greatest Super NES platform adventure returns, the game features lush graphics, clever level design, and of course, Yoshi. Screenshots reveal a unique art style blending collage, tapestry, and knitted elements, reflecting its Japanese title, Yoshi no Ethon, Yoshi's Picture Book. Other news includes LucasArts' Star Wars games tied to the upcoming prequel movies, Midway's planned N64 games, Super Off-Road Challenge, Olympic Hockey 98, and Wayne Gretzky 98, and a dismissed patent infringement claim against Nintendo. Additionally, there are mentions of Hudson's Virtual On-Style game, Last Legion Use, and Capcom's Disney Tetris game. This page is a full-page advert for F1 Pole Position 64. Right then, in racing there is only one position bit dramatic, but that's advertising for you. This is for the N64, and they're calling it the most authentic Formula 1 game. Based on the 1996 season apparently, which is fair enough given the magazine era. It's got 16 Grand Prix tracks, 22 cars, and 30 famous drivers. Remember thinking back then how many drivers games claimed to have, even if half of them were fictional. They're banging on about realistic spinouts, skid turns, and radio communication with the pit. Radio comms, that was a big deal at the time, wasn't it? Published by Ubisoft, and looking at those tiny screenshots, it's got that typical N64 graphical style, a bit angular, but for a racer back then, it probably did the job. Pole Position is a classic name, going way back. Formula 1 games were always popular on consoles, so this was probably aiming to capture that market on the N64. This page is all about The Legend of Zelda 64, which we now know as Ocarina of Time. Bit of a mouthful at the time, wasn't it? The headline is shouting, Link's 64-bit debut gets curiouser and curiouser. They're really pushing the big world aspect of it, going on about open landscapes and mountain ranges, and saying it'll be different from those claustrophobic dungeons we were used to in Zelda. Seems like they're quite excited about the scope of it, saying playing it will be like entering another world. There's a big screenshot of Link looking a bit blocky, bless him, but it's early days. Then smaller ones showing him on horseback, Epona, feeding her carrots, and apparently she's a bit of a diva, stopping dead when hungry, hilarious. They've got captions saying young Link looks menacing, and another one of him in front of Death Mountain. Proper dramatic stuff. The info box says it's a 3D RPG, which was the buzzword back then, TBA for release date naturally, and 128 meg cart size, which sounded massive at the time, didn't it? N64 update, logo stamped on it, reminds you of the hype around the N64 and what it could do. Overall, they're really building up the anticipation for this Zelda game, promising something completely different, which, looking back, it absolutely was. This page shifts from Zelda 64 news to pay tribute to Gunpei Yokoi, a Nintendo legend and inventor of the Game Boy, Game & Watch, and Virtual Boy, who sadly passed away. The Game Boy's enduring popularity is highlighted, even outselling the N64 in Japan. Zelda 64 continues to dominate coverage, focusing on horse riding mechanics, which feature improved jumping and carrot requirements. Information reveals young Link's arsenal, including a slingshot and bow and arrow, and compares the game's structure to Zelda 2's Light/Dark World. The article reiterates the anticipation surrounding Zelda 64's 64-bit graphics and gameplay. A preview of Space Monkey is featured, a 3D action game starring Donkey Kong Jr. seeking revenge in space. The game involves exploring bases, collecting weapons, and fighting enemies, with Corinth Jetrika as the mastermind. The page concludes with a call for readers to submit their own game ideas. Cheshire. Madden Football 64 on the N64 faced hurdles, lacking the official NFL license and substituting team names with towns and EA emblems, although player names were included. Despite this, the game is described as eagerly awaited, potentially the worst on the N64, yet shaping up nicely with cool graphics, though not as impressive as NFL Quarterback Club 98, and smooth gameplay. The new helmet cam perspective offers a unique angle. The lowdown highlights stunning gameplay, new camera angles, and an awesome multiplayer mode. A retrospective section on the official Nintendo magazine, ONM, praises its early coverage of Nintendo exclusives. The article also briefly reviews older ONM issues, mentioning games like Felix the Cat and Super BC Kid, and discusses the challenges of delayed technology and ports. This page is a proper blast from the past, isn't it? It's a full-page advert for Extreme Egg on the Nintendo 64. Crikey, that image of the bloke pulling that face really takes you back to the 90s marketing. Acceleration so fast it hurts, they're claiming. A bit over the top, but it gets the point across it was meant to be fast. They're banging on about it being the fastest and most graphically impressive game on the N64, quoting Nintendo magazine calling it the fastest game on Earth, published by Acclaim, of course, who were always shouting, "Take it to the extreme" at every opportunity. Extreme Egg itself, yeah, it was a futuristic racer, anti-grav bikes and all that, trying to be Wipeout on the N64 if I recall. It was alright, pretty speedy, but hurtful acceleration? Come on now. Still, Acclaim definitely knew how to make a loud advert. Quake on the N64 is being previewed, with the article declaring it a significant event. The EMAP Towers team has obtained a copy, and reports a faithful conversion, preserving speed and graphics from the PC original. Multiplayer is confirmed, a key feature for many. The lowdown highlights realistic lighting, multiplayer deathmatch, numerous weapons and monsters. Control setup differs from games like Turok, utilizing the D-pad for movement, and the 3D stick for looking up and down, though the article suggests players will adapt. Screenshots depict the Volcano God boss battle, showcasing the monster's eruption, fireball attacks, lift usage, and final electric attack to complete the level. Despite some boasting about the level completion and lack of secrets, it's a generally positive outlook, concluding that Quake on the console is a welcome experience despite potentially cumbersome controls. This page is a full-page advert for NFL Quarterback Club 98 on the N64. Right in your face with a massive close-up of a gridiron geezer in his helmet. It's got all the usual macho bluster, full impact sport and no room for losers, laying it on thick that you'll be crushed if you show any weakness. Dramatic stuff. They're pushing it as the most impressive NFL game ever, which, you know, they always say. It's got all the teams, all the players, and the official NFL license. So if you're into your American football, and some of us were even back then, you knew what you were getting. Acclaim was the publisher back then, remember them? Take it to the extreme was their tagline. Iguana Entertainment developed it. They did a few bits and bobs on the N64. So yeah, if you were after some digital NFL action on your grey brick, this was the game they were shouting about this month. Imagineer's N64 brawler, Fighting Cup, formerly Struggle Hard, is nearing completion. The game boasts large, fast-paced fighters with no slowdown, and a training system rewarding skill development through ring-outs and throws. A reviewer anticipates it to be the best beat-em-up on the platform. Screenshots show fights in the Colosseum and Far East settings, featuring characters like Kazi and Leon. Also, a new UK gaming website, Game Online, from EMAP and ONM, is launching, focusing on news, reviews, and Britsoft games, offering downloadable content. Finally, Fox Data is releasing stylish, themed N64 controllers, Chrome Leopard, Purple Forest, Desert Storm, Red Rain, for £39.99, designed to complement games like Turok and DKR. This page is a full-page advert for Clearasil Complete Face Wash. It's got two lads on it, one older brother trying to convince his younger brother to use the stuff, saying it works and to look at me. The younger one is pulling a face, looking like he can't be bothered. It's all about preventing spots, which, let's be honest, back in the day, was probably on the minds of most teenagers reading this magazine. Nothing to do with N64 games, mind you, unless spots are the final boss in a new title I haven't heard about. This page is all about 064, and it's got that classic 90s magazine vibe to it. Faster than the speed of sound, screams the headline, which is about right for FAF0. They were getting a bit worried about it, saying all the ships looked a bit chunky and like Thunderbird wannabes, which is a bit harsh, but I guess they're trying to say the new designs are sleeker, and they're right, they do look a bit more nippy in the screenshots shown. Ow. We've got a bunch of screenshots showing off the racing action, looking pretty fast as you'd expect. They're showing different race positions and times, up to 19th now in 15th, and so on, with little comments like, one of the sleek ships prepares to overtake, and the Red Gazelle looks like the coolest racer. Bit obvious, but fair play, the Red Gazelle is a classic. Warrington. There's a box out to the side with some info, saying it's by Nintendo, a 3D racing game, release TBA, and a massive 64 megkart size. That was a big deal back then, showing off the N64's power. Then there's that crazy artwork of all the racers at the top. They're all a bit over the top, aren't they? Proper cartoon villains and heroes mixed in there. Good times. Overall, it's a standard preview piece, getting people hyped for F-Zero 64, and it's doing a good job of it. The N64 news includes a Rugrats game in development, a 3D platformer based on the TV show and movie, aimed at younger players, scheduled for autumn '98. F-Zero 64 gets more attention, emphasizing its dynamic day-night cycle, high speeds with 30 racers, and 64 DGD compatibility for track updates and creation. The article also highlights the game's roller coaster speeds and blistering speeds. Lastly, Shigeru Miyamoto hints at a SimCity game for the 64DD, featuring city building, robot attacks, and SimCopter integration, a seemingly unusual combination slated for next year. This buyer's guide reviews various N64 controllers. The official Nintendo controller excels with its precise 3D stick, 4 stars, but has awkward shoulder buttons. The Sex4 PlayStation-style controller is cheaper, but suffers from a loose stick and poor handling. 2 stars. The Competition Pro is chunky, with a tight stick and excellent D-pad, ideal for beat-em-ups. 3 stars. The SuperPad 64 features a loose stick, a better D-pad, and is suited for shooters. 3 stars. The MacaPad 64 has a loose stick, a good D-pad, and is recommended for shoot-em-ups. 4 stars. Finally, the SuperPad 64 Plus offers a tighter stick, good D-pad, and earns 4 stars, making it a solid alternative. The official pad remains a top choice, but the third-party options offer specialized strengths. This review examines several third-party N64 controllers. The SharkPad Pro 64 offers a stiffer stick, good D-pad, and a familiar Z-trigger, earning 4 stars and best value. The Arcade Shark features an arcade-style joystick, Z-trigger button, auto-fire, and slow motion, aimed at coin-op enthusiasts, garnering 4 stars and best all-round gaming. The Trident Pro Pad boasts a good stick but poorly designed ridges, a decent D-pad, smaller C buttons, a problematic Z-trigger, and well-placed shoulder buttons, receiving 3 stars and best budget buy. The Trident Pad has a decent stick with no ridges, good D-pad, similarly sized C buttons, a well-placed Z-trigger, and well-designed shoulder buttons, though it gets only 2 stars due to an uncomfortable ridge. A sidebar highlights the Rattlesnake, an upcoming handheld controller designed with steering wheel ergonomics, and a contest to win one. This article reviews essential N64 accessories. Memory cards were a necessity for saving game progress, with Nintendo's official controller pack and numerous third-party options from brands like Spectra Video and Datal, offering sizes up to 4 MB. Next, the article highlights rumble packs, crucial for enhancing gameplay with feedback. Nintendo's version is featured, along with alternatives from LMP and Datal. Finally, the article examines steering wheels. Spectra Video's Top Gear wheel receives high praise. Others include the LMP LX4, with minor button issues, the poorly received Blaze VRF1 accelerator, the Interact V3 racing wheel, great for Mario Kart 64, and the budget-friendly Platinum Sound Performer racing wheel. The selection caters to a range of budgets and preferences. This page is a bit of an odd one. It's a full-page advert for face wash, called Oxy, right in the middle of our Nintendo mag. Seems a bit random, doesn't it? It's pushing this idea that using their daily wash will improve your chances with the opposite sex, which is a bit of a stretch for a spot cream, even back then. It's all about preventing spots, apparently, before they even start. There are a couple of bottles of the stuff at the bottom, blue and purple, like they're some kind of potions. Bit off topic for a Nintendo magazine if you ask me, but hey, ads pay the bills, don't they? This page announces a contest to win the MGM Bond collection on video and GoldenEye, with entry requiring a guess of James Bond's vodka martini count. It also covers Nintendo's Space World show, mentioning their missed deadline but promising a report in the next issue. Anticipated highlights include Pokémon titles, the elusive 64DD, and anticipated games such as Mother 3, Mario Artist, Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, and F-Zero X. Finally, the page highlights the upcoming Golden Joystick Awards at the Café de Paris in London, featuring Mario and Fox McCloud, suggesting a Nintendo-centric event. This comet advertisement promotes their Game Zone, featuring new N64 games. The ad prominently displays screenshots from Lylat Wars, Star Fox 64, GoldenEye 007, and F1 Pole Position 64, highlighting their action, Bond theme, and realistic racing respectively. Reader offers are also advertised with discounted prices. Lylat Wars with Rumble Pack for £54.99, GoldenEye and F1 Pole Position 64 for £44.99 each. The ad emphasizes the 4-player capabilities of these games, a key feature for the N64. The Game Zone in Comet stores allowed customers to try out the N64, PlayStation, and Saturn games. The advert's goal was to entice customers to visit Comet for their gaming needs. Nintendo Magazine is running a Christmas giveaway called the Big Festive Blag, offering N64 prizes. The grand prize is a 4-player VRF1 accelerator racing setup. Second and third prizes include more steering wheels and accessories. Even runners-up receive essential memory cards. To enter, readers must solve 5 N64-themed clues: Navy Tabby, Steals Ideas, Likely Conquer, Japanese Folk Hero, Save Village, Goemon, Crack Team, Destruction, Blast Corps, Two Mammals, Amphibian and Bird, Evil Simian Tyrant, Star Fox/Lylat Wars, and Mechanized Beasts Marooned in Space, Space Station Silicon Valley. Entrants must send their answers on a postcard to a London address. The prizes were a big deal for racing fans, recalling the fun of 4-player split-screen gaming. This vintage magazine playlist showcases N64 game reviews with a new scoring system: 90% plus must buy, 80 to 89% solid, 65 to 79% genre fans, 45 to 64% average, 26 to 44% dodgy, and 25% or less unplayable. Super Mario 64, 95%, is hailed as the best, while other highlights include Turok 87%, Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire 86%, Pilotwings 64, 84%, Wave Race 64, 92%, ISS 64, 93%, Mario Kart 64, 90%, Duke Nukem 64, 91%, and Lylat Wars 93%. Some games like MK Trilogy 56% and Hexen 60% received lower scores due to poor conversions. The magazine also reveals the staff's television preferences and concludes with an office chart listing the top 5 N64 games from November/December 1997. Lylat Wars, Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye 007, Duke Nukem 64, and Blast Corps. This page is all about Diddy Kong Racing. Blimey, what a game that was back in '97, right after Mario Kart 64 came out and blew everyone away. Rare comes along with this, and it's a genuine contender. The review here is certainly hyped, calling it an essential buy, which based on the scoring system we saw, means it must be a 90% or higher, putting it right up there with the N64 greats. The review text talks about how Diddy Kong made his name in Donkey Kong Country on the Super NES, and now he's got his own racing game, getting the Mario treatment as they put it. They mention you can race on land, sea and air, which is a step up from just karts, and they even hint at outer space levels, classic Rare madness. You can see Whizpig, that big purple fella, looming over the page, and Bumper the Badger holding the checkered flag, so it shows off some of the characters. Down at the bottom, in the info box, it's got the details. Made by Rare, pricey at £49.99 back then, and it came out on the 5th of December 1997. It also mentions 1 to 4 players, various multiplayer modes, and it's on a 64 meg cart, no memory pack needed, so all standard stuff for the time. Looking back, Diddy Kong Racing was indeed something special, and this review seems to capture the initial excitement around it. The next page continues the Diddy Kong Racing love-in, focusing on the fact it's not just karts anymore. Oh no, we've got planes and hovercrafts now. They're making a big deal out of these new vehicle types, saying it's a step up from standard kart races. It mentions planes and hovercrafts are the new karts, and that they are really hot things in the gameplay department, which is a bit much, but yeah, they were cool additions. They suggest you can dive bomb in your plane and do 360-degree victory rolls. Which is fair enough, it did let you do some fancy tricks. There are screenshots showing the plane and hovercraft in action, one in a snowy level, and another in a canyon level. You can see the vehicle selection screen too, showing the plane icon highlighted, and then the hovercraft. They're really pushing the reach for the sky angle, making out it's all very innovative. Well, it was different for a kart racer at the time, I'll give them that. This review of Diddy Kong Racing highlights the game's adventure mode, where players must place in the top 4 to advance. This mode features balloon collection and racing to unlock new levels. The game also features planes and hovercrafts, expanding beyond traditional kart racing. The review introduces the game's 8 playable characters, calling them cuddly characters. It mentions familiar faces like Diddy Kong, Banjo, and a pre-adult Conker. Each character has unique attributes affecting their racing performance. Diddy and Conker are balanced characters suitable for beginners, while Timber and Bumper are heavier, offering better speed and acceleration, ideal for bumping other racers. The review acknowledges the family-friendly angle while recognizing players' competitive spirit. Diddy Kong Racing features challenging boss battles after each level, ranging from racing Triceratops to an incredibly difficult octopus. Successfully defeating a boss unlocks access to new worlds. The article then highlights Donkey Kong's history, tracing his origins to early arcade games and his appearances in various media, including the Super NES title Donkey Kong Country. It also discusses the characters Banjo and Crunch, characterized as heavier racers with excellent top speed and cornering once they gain momentum. Conversely, Pipsy and Tip Top are presented as lighter characters with superior acceleration and good cornering, even though their top speed is lower. This review highlights Diddy Kong Racing's key features. Power-ups are categorized by balloon color: green for oil slicks, blue for speed boosts, red for missiles, evolving in power, yellow for shields, and multicolored for a magnet effect. The Baby You Can Drive My Car mode allows for vehicle practice: car, hovercraft, plane. The 4-player mode is praised as excellent. The review also covers collecting silver coins after each world to progress, the presence of Whizpig, and the trophy challenge. The game encourages exploration with secret keys, reminiscent of Rare's style, drawing comparisons to Mario Kart, indicating this is an excellent title. This page features a rather odd full-page advert for Twix chocolate bars. It's got this bloke, Pondered Norm they're calling him, and he's absolutely plastered in Twix wrappers like he's been mummified in the things. He's sat in a deck chair on a beach, all wrapped up in what looks like a winter coat and jeans. Not exactly beach attire, is it? He's yelling something about not blaming him if you catch colds, which is a bit of a strange thing to say. Then, in a smaller picture at the bottom, there's a proper beach scene, with a couple sunbathing looking all relaxed, the kind of thing you'd expect on a beach. And underneath it all, there's a Twix bar, with the words, "a break from the norm." So it's a bit of a play on words, I suppose, suggesting Twix is a bit different, a break from the usual, like Norm is a bit of a norm himself, being all wrapped up and grumpy on the beach when everyone else is having a nice time. A bit of a strange advert, if you ask me, but I suppose it's meant to be memorable. This page reviews Diddy Kong Racing for the N64, praising Rare's work on the game. The review highlights the game's Christmas-themed charm, especially in contrast to other games like Doom 64. The reviewer enjoys the catchy music and sound effects, finding them superior to those of F1 Pole Position 64. The review also covers helpful characters like Taj and Tats, who provide tips and access to time trials. An exclusive cheat reveals that inputting Joint Venture in the magic codes unlocks a 2-player adventure mode. Finally, the review teases the unlockable secret character Drumstick, building anticipation for further details in a future issue. Overall, the review is highly positive, celebrating the game's quality and its status as a cracking game. This review of Diddy Kong Racing hypes the game as an epic adventure, emphasizing its superior graphics and sound compared to other N64 games like Mario Kart 64. Reviewer Tim Street praises the game's challenges across kart, plane, and hovercraft modes, predicting that DKR will surpass Mario Kart 64 in gamers' estimations. The review awards high scores: graphics 95, sound 92, playability 94, and lastability 93. These scores are backed by details, such as the game's vibrant cartoon visuals, catchy music, and user-friendly controls. The single-player campaign, multiplayer and time trials are all noted for their longevity. The review concludes with an overall score of 94% and suggests DKR should be a top Christmas gift alongside GoldenEye, pushing the game's appeal with dramatic imagery and captions. This review previews GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64, calling it a potential system seller for the upcoming Christmas season. The game captures the essence of James Bond, classic cars, guns and girls, translating Ian Fleming's books to the N64. Players assume the role of Bond in 12 levels, with 3 difficulty settings, from Agent to Zero Agent. The review highlights various levels, including the snowy Severnaya installation, the jungle of Cuban Jungle, the warship frigate Lafayette, and the Janus Control Center. Players can utilize specific objectives, like planting a tracking device or using a sniper rifle. The level select screen uses a film strip format. Completing missions quickly unlocks cheat options. Overall, the preview is highly positive, suggesting GoldenEye 007 is a must-have title. This page continues the hype for GoldenEye with a feature titled, Appetite for Destruction. It's all about the multiplayer aspect, which was frankly revolutionary back then. They're banging on about it being a 4-player blasting extravaganza, and saying you can step into the shoes of Bond, Sean Bean, Robbie Coltrane or anyone else who tickles your fancy. Bit cheeky, that. There are screenshots showing the in-game characters, and some of the action. They've got Bond, Natalia Simonova, the lovely Natalia, apparently Xenia Onatop, and Porky Valentin Zukovsky. It's quite something seeing these digitized actors in a game. They're showing off different views and weapon loadouts, classic stuff like Magnum bullets. The tagline for Xenia is, "Choose me." Bit forward, isn't it? Down at the bottom there's a big red box screaming, "Essential Buy," from official Nintendo magazine. Bit biased of them, wouldn't you say? It's got the GoldenEye logo nice and prominent, and all the important info. Developed by Rare, price of £49.99, release date the 7th of November 1997. Game type is 3D shoot 'em up, player count 14, multiplayer modes various, cart size is a hefty 64 meg. Remember when that was big? Base battery backup yes, and memory pack for save game. They even put the phone number in case you were utterly desperate to pre-order, or just chat to someone about Bond all day. It's all very exciting in a late 90s magazine kind of way. This page continues the GoldenEye lovin', calling it 007 Heaven, and posing Bond trivia questions, like how many vodka martinis Bond has drunk, and how many Bond girls there have been. Apparently 55, with 27 brunettes, 24 blondes and 4 redheads. Who knew? Sean Connery supposedly wore 2 wigs, one for love scenes, and 2 billion people have seen a Bond movie, which is a mind-boggling 2/5 of the world's population. They even mentioned that the bullet ricochets in License to Kill play the Bond theme tune. Fair play, that's a bit of trivia gold. To bay. Then there's a section called, I Have a Cunning Plan, which sounds very Baldric, doesn't it? It's a preview of the single-player campaign, positioning it as better than Doom and Turok. Quite bold claims. They're saying you have to be cunning and deceptive, not just run and gun. The screenshots show different stages of a level, giving tips like using a sniper rifle, using a lorry for cover, and taking out enemies strategically. They are showing off the variety of gameplay, from sniping goons to ambushes and escapes. Looks like they're really pushing the stealth and tactical elements, which was a bit of a step up for console shooters back then. It all wraps up saying you need to destroy the supercomputer and bungee jump to safety. Classic Bond, really. 10 to the Arsenal highlights the impressive weapon selection in GoldenEye 007. The article boasts about 19 guns, with Q's virtual guidance on which are essential, including the PP7 Special Issue, RCP-90, and the infamous Golden Gun. Screenshots showcase Bond engaging in snowy environments and industrial complexes, even utilizing a rocket launcher. The health system, ever-decreasing circles, is also detailed. A real-time circular health meter displays damage, a novel concept at the time. Body armor is crucial for survival, and keycards unlock new areas, encouraging exploration. The article emphasizes the game's innovative weapon variety and health system, which significantly contributed to GoldenEye's success. GoldenEye 07's review focuses on shooting mechanics and unlockable content. The A View to a Kill section praises the shooting, particularly the sniper rifle, and the satisfying feel. The game's difficulty is highlighted in License to Kill, where completing levels on higher difficulties, Secret Agent, 00 Agent, unlocks bonus missions. The review teases these bonus levels, generating anticipation. Screenshots showcase Bond, interacting with characters like Valentin Zukovsky, and demonstrate classic Bond gameplay elements, such as stealth and cutscene-driven storytelling, which reveals plot details. The game's visual presentation is noted as being impressive for the N64. This review focuses on GoldenEye 007, particularly the Cruisin' USSR level, which features tank combat and a mission to pursue Aramov and Natalia. The reviewer, Tim Street, initially dismissed the game but was won over by its immersive atmosphere, detail, and multiple difficulty settings. He lauded the 4-player multiplayer as a highlight. The game received high scores: graphics, 95, sound, 94, playability, 95, and lastability, 93, leading to an overall score of 94%. Graphics are described as stunning, while sound and playability are praised for their quality and realism. The reviewer declared GoldenEye a must-have for Bond fans and gamers alike, highlighting its longevity and replayability due to its various levels and multiplayer mode. This page showcases classic Nintendo 64 advertising. Ultraplay, the first ad, promoted games like GoldenEye and offered repairs, highlighting a traditional GameShop experience. Another ad pushed us N64 consoles and games like Mace, The Dark Age for import, a common practice to access different game versions. Skill, another importer, also sold us consoles and popular titles, emphasizing mail order. The page also featured a regulatory note from ASA keeping tabs on ads. Entertainment X's advertised low prices and free postage for N64, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn games, catering to multiple platforms. Finally, an advertisement for advertising in Nintendo magazine itself rounded out the snapshot of the gaming retail landscape of the time. This article from a gaming magazine details cheat codes and shortcuts for the game Lylat Wars, Star Fox 64, presented as Cosmic's Code Quest. The guide covers how to access secret levels like Sector Y, Titania, Aquas, and Sector Z. Underway. To reach Sector Y, players must aid Falco and navigate underwater rock arches. The Titania warp requires barrel rolls in a meteor field. Aquas is accessed by aggressive combat in Sector Y. Sector Z is unlocked by shooting white metal gates in the Sector X fleet yard and blasting spotlights on Zonus. The article includes screenshots and a cartoon character, typical of the magazine's style. The page ends by claiming all tips were verified by the Nintendo hotline. This Tips Center article from a gaming magazine provides cheat codes for popular N64 games. For GoldenEye 007, it details unlocking deathmatch maps and characters by completing Agent Mode, as well as the steps to obtain the Golden Gun. Hexen, a darker fantasy shooter, features cheat codes activated with the SEC buttons, including all items, walk through walls, God Mode, and more. Top Gear Rally's section reveals how to unlock extra vehicles, like the Cupra car, and the ridiculous milk truck. The article assures the code's legitimacy by stating they were verified by the Nintendo hotline, a necessity before the widespread use of the internet. This page from the Nintendo Tips Center features cheat codes for several classic games. For Bomberman 3 on SNES, it provides level codes to prepare for Bomberman 64. Cybernator on SNES has a tip for double continues, activated by holding shoulder buttons, up and start. Aladdin on SNES offers level codes based on character names. Prince of Persia on Game Boy has number-based level codes for levels 2 to 12. Finally, Multi-Racing Championship on 64 reveals how to race against your own ghost car in time trial mode after setting a world-class lap time. This Nintendo Tips Center page offers cheat codes for several Super Nintendo games. For Cannon Fodder, shoot 'em ups, there are level skip codes. NHL96 Sports Sims features cheats to unlock bonus teams and boost player points. Platform games covered include Zombies and Tiny Toon Adventures, Buster Busts Loose, with level select codes. Superstar Wars provides level select and infinite health/energy cheats, involving a complex button combination. The page also highlights the hotliners, Mike, Donna, James, and Paul, the Nintendo hotline staff, available to assist with gaming issues. This page focuses on two retro gaming topics. First, it details beat-em-up moves for Mace, the Dark Age, including combo lists and unlock methods for hidden characters Pojo and Grendel. Pojo is unlocked by performing Terrier's execution and holding start and quick, while Grendel requires winning 3 two-player games consecutively. The page provides detailed move lists, ranging from basic combos to advanced executions, but withholds character appearances to avoid spoilers. The second section addresses RPG help requests. Questions about Final Fantasy for Game Boy, Finding an Airseed, and Illusion of Time, Fourth Ball in the Sky Garden, are answered with typical walkthrough advice. Finally, there's an advertisement for the Nintendo Hotline, a service for game assistance before the internet was widely accessible. This is a player's guide for Episode 4, The Castle of Grief, in the N64 game Hexen. The guide focuses on locating gears to fix a clock and activate an elevator. The first gear is in a dark room, while the second gear is in the courtyard near pillars and a masked figure. Screenshots illustrate the locations. The guide also offers general tips on navigating the castle, such as raising bridges and using switches. It aims to provide helpful hints without revealing too much, acting as a quick reference for players stuck on puzzles, before resorting to external help or costly Nintendo hotline calls. This guide covers the third gear in Hexen, found in the castle's left corner. Players must activate 5 hidden switches to obtain it, navigating the battlements, a maze-like area with lifts and skull switches. The fourth gear resides in the gibbet room, requiring the activation of 4 hidden switches to lower a platform. The guide also points out the portal to the Forsaken Outpost outside the castle, urging exploration for items. Lastly, it mentions a secret level, Desolate Garden, accessible via a switch in the Sacred Grove, reachable through a portal that opens in the Forsaken Outpost. This guide continues Hexen-level tips, focusing on specific puzzles. Fixing the clock involves finding gear icons, placing them, and activating a switch to teleport to the gibbet. In the gibbet, quickly pull a switch upon arrival, and be prepared for immediate monster attacks. Yorick's Skull presents a library puzzle with rotating bookshelves. Locate a demon mask, solve a bookcase puzzle using collected items, Liber Oscura and Demon Codex, grab Yorincheshire Windorcus skull, and then use the skull on a statue after breaking stained glass and repairing a bridge. The effluvium begins in a drain. Find a hidden switch, backtrack to the gibbet through a portal, and explore ledges and windows for the dungeon key. Finally, use a portal for the next quest, then return to the gibbet to access an area behind a bookcase. This Hexen walkthrough continues in the gibbet area, progressing through the dungeons and bottomless pit. Back to the gibbet details, returning to the starting area to find secrets, involving library navigation, a cage room, key usage, monster encounters, and switch-activated passages. The dungeon section involves a lava-filled area with torture chambers, pillar-based switches for passage access, and lever-activated paths. Expect puzzle elements alongside combat, and, naturally, hidden doors. The bottomless pit starts in a cage room, where a hidden switch must be found. It then guides players through more switch-activated passages, and a slimy river, ultimately leading to the titular bottomless pit, emphasizing exploration and the game's often deadly traps. This walkthrough covers several Hexen areas. Effluvium again involves navigating a drain system, solving tank puzzles with winches, and battling brown serpents. It leads to the Castle of Grief, and eventually back to the gibbet. Forsaken Outpost again is revisited, with a secret window providing a shortcut. Finally, the Heresiarch's lair is detailed. This area features an axe key room, a main monster-filled room, and culminates in a boss fight against the Heresiarch atop a star. Defeating him opens a portal to Episode 5. This guide details Episode 5, the Necropolis in Hexen, focusing on how to defeat the bosses and progress. First, visit the vivarium to gather supplies, navigating traps and pig-like monsters to find the portal. Next, the Tomb of Menelkir, accessed via a portal, features a large door with switches that opens side rooms guarded by enemies. Find the Crater of Might and use the portal. The exit is straightforward. Locate a dark area, shoot walls, and step on a platform to reach a portal. The 8 symbols section describes puzzle rooms, where matching symbols on walls and pillars activates switches or opens passages. The puzzles involve shape recognition and switch activation. Finally, face Menelkir in a multi-layered room. Defeat him. Watch out for his Blood Scourge or Arc of Death attacks. Collect the Sigil of the Magus, and return to the Necropolis portal to advance. The Necropolis walkthrough focuses on 2 tombs, Traductus and Zedek. To enter the Tomb of Traductus, find a northeast door, solve switch and crate puzzles, and defeat a serpent. Inside, navigate a cavern, kill bishops, and find 3 switches. The middle switch reveals Traductus, while the others unlock areas with a falcon shield and icon of the defender. The Tomb of Zedek, located southwest, involves centaurs and a corridor leading to a portal. Inside, a triangle-shaped corridor with moving pillars and a collapsing ceiling presents a puzzle. You must find switches, memorize, and match symbols on rotating gray squares within a time limit to escape. The Hexen walkthrough concludes in the epilogue, Dark Crucible, with a final battle against Korax. Before facing Korax, defeat Zedek and retrieve the glaive seal. Insert the glaive seal, Sigil of Magus, and Holy Relic into the panel to initiate the final battle. The fight with Korax is a multi-stage encounter. Navigate a series of halls, dodging fireballs, lightning and crushers. Korax teleports, spawning enemies throughout the rooms. Use discs of repulsion for crowd control and conserve ammo for Korax. Watch out for lava floors and traps. Korax summons various monsters, including dark bishops, chaos serpents, and invisible centaurs. Focus on damaging Korax, and use craters of might if needed. Upon his defeat, a portal appears. Avoid the ghosts that erupt from his death, and enter the portal to complete the game. Harex. This classic corner page revives tips for the Super NES game Flashback. The game, known for its rotoscoped animation, offers help for players stuck in various stages. In Titan Jungle, the advice focuses on using stones to activate pressure pads for the teleporter. New Washington's challenge involves a tricky jump to a high platform, requiring precise button presses. Cyber Tower's elevator is cleverly disguised, needing a specific button combination to operate. Finally, the attack orbs are best destroyed with deliberate, single shots, instead of rapid-fire bursts. These verified tips aim to assist players struggling with the game's puzzles and challenges. This classic corner flashback guide offers tips for stages 5 to 7. In Paradise Base, Stage 5, avoid the disintegrators by climbing and running left. Stage 6, Planet Morph 1, involves shooting a locked door and finding a teleport device, green orb, for a hidden key. Planet Morph 2, Stage 7, focuses on safely navigating deep holes. Use ledges or the telereceiver for scouting. The guide also covers defeating the auxiliary brain by taking out guards, using the telereceiver, and shooting the brain repeatedly. Finally, escape the disintegrator by running right, jumping mines, and shooting an attack orb. Level passwords for stages 2 to 7 are included, along with a Nintendo hotline number for extra help. The official Nintendo magazine's Tips Center presents 4 N64 challenges. First, Blast Core requires the fastest time attack completion of Oyster Harbor. Lilac Wars challenges players to reach Area 6 using only 8 switches on Macbeth. GoldenEye 007 demands the highest headshot count on Surface. Finally, Mario Kart 64 asks for the fastest times on all Wario Stadium time trials. Proof of completion is required via screenshots or score screens. And the winners are section announces winners from previous challenges: David Nixdorf, Mario Kart 64, Sholto Gilbertson, Super Mario 64, and Nick Wilson, ISS 64. What a Picture offers photography tips for capturing screenshots. Lastly, entries are requested for Donkey Kong's Treehouse, with a chance to win a magazine subscription extension. The deadline for entries is December 21st Street. This page is a full-page advert for Mace, the Dark Age on the N64. Blimey, this takes me back. Mace was Midway's attempt to grab some of that Mortal Kombat pie, but with a bit of a medieval twist. Your executioner awaits, is the tagline they've gone with. Pretty dramatic stuff for a fighting game back then. The artwork is dominated by a massive, heavily armored character, wielding a huge sword, looking suitably menacing. Below that, there are 3 small screenshots showcasing some in-game action with character names like Al-Rashid, Lord Deimos, and Mordos Cool mentioned above them. Looks like your typical 3D fighter of the time, plenty of clanging swords and over-the-top moves, I'm sure. It was alright, Mace, nothing truly groundbreaking but fun for a bit of button bashing with your mates if you were into that sort of thing. At the bottom there's the usual Midway and Nintendo 64 logos and some copyright blurb, all very standard stuff for a game ad from the late 90s. Extreme G on the N64 aimed to fill the futuristic racing void while gamers awaited F-Zero 64. The game, described as motorsport, future style, offered fast-paced arcade action with jet bikes racing on gravity-defying tracks. Players could utilize weapons like laser cannons and nitro boosters for high speeds, competing with 7 other bikes over 3 laps. The review highlights varied tracks like Temple, Desert, Starship Graveyard, and Industrial, spanning diverse environments. The game features 12 circuits accessible by completing the Extreme Championship. While the reviewer found the game a bit far-fetched, it was considered a decent and speedy alternative for its time, offering a unique racing experience. Extreme Egg for the N64, a futuristic racing game, aims to fill the void left by the anticipated V-Zero 64. The core gameplay revolves around the Extreme Tournament, a series of races across varied tracks where players earn points and unlock faster bikes and weapons. Outside the main tournament, players can engage in the Lone Rider mode, featuring practice races, time trials, and a shoot-'em-up mode. The game showcases diverse tracks like Dark City, a roller coaster-like level, Jump City, a junkyard setting, the tunnel, a mine-based course, and the mine itself. Developed by Acclaim, Extreme Egg is a racing/shooting game supporting 1 to 16 players with multiplayer options. Released already, it utilizes a 64 MB cartridge and saves records to a memory pack. Extreme G's multiplayer focus is detailed, showcasing 4 modes: head-to-head, split screen for up to 4 players, flag race, cup challenge, up to 16 players, and battle arena. Track design offers multiple routes with shortcuts, speed boosts, and weapon pickups to evade opponents. Bike customization is featured in the bike shop, with 8 bikes offering varied stats and 3 weapon types: laser, pulse, and Excel cannon. The game highlights several tracks, including Volcano, Spaceport, Domes, and Upside Down World, each promising unique visual and gameplay experiences common for futuristic racers of the era. Extreme G's drive-by shooting weapon system features nearly 20 weapons categorized into specials: tractor beams, flares, flame exhaust, mines, proximity, laser limpets, missiles, homing, triples, static pulse, and defenses, shields, invisibility. Rewards for tournament wins include light beams, podiums, and secret codes unlocking effects and bikes. Paul Glancy praises Extreme G, finding it more skill-based than Top Gear Rally. He commends its graphics, loops, spirals, and challenging gameplay, highlighting the importance of mastering weapons and nitrous. He gives it high marks, especially for the graphics, 94%, sound, 88%, playability, 90%, and lasting appeal, 90%, leading to an overall score of 90%. He calls it a superior driving game with an emphasis on speed and spectacle. This page is a full-page advert for Doom 64. It's got that classic gritty, dark, and slightly terrifying vibe, just like the original games did back in the day. The text is all dramatic. "You killed the demons once, they were all dead. Or so you thought." Classic Doom, eh? Always something lurking around the corner. It goes on about a single demon entity, bringing the dead carnage back to life, making the demons stronger and more vicious than before. The tagline is right there at the bottom: "Kill or be killed." Yeah, pretty much sums up Doom, doesn't it? Below the text is the Doom 64 logo, in that iconic font, and below that the logos for GT Interactive and Midway, reminding you who was publishing and distributing it. Simple, effective advert. Makes you want to grab your BFG and get stuck in. The next page continues the Doom 64 vibe, doesn't it? It's another full-page spread, this time dominated by a massive, menacing demon face smack bang in the middle. Proper scary-looking thing with those glowing red eyes and massive horns. It's framed within that pentagram thing again, really pushing the whole demonic theme. Below it, you've got the Nintendo 64 logo, just to remind you where you'll be blasting these hellspawns. And right at the bottom, there's the usual legal blurb, you know the stuff. Midway, Nintendo, all that jazz. It's a visually striking page, no messing about, just pure Doom atmosphere. Makes you think they were really going for that darker, more intense experience on the N64. Compared to some of the other stuff around at the time. Fair play, it certainly grabbed your attention back then. This review praises Top Gear Rally for the N64, calling it a satisfying racer. The game offers realistic rally cars and varied terrain, including roads, beaches, and cities. The core gameplay revolves around the Rally Championship mode, where players compete against 19 others across seasons to earn points and unlock new tracks, weather, and cars. Car Wars adds a strategic element, providing faster car options after completing a season, with choices between better acceleration or top speed. The game features a progression from 4WD to more challenging rear-wheel drive cars. The review notes the game's release date of November 21, 1997, the Nintendo publishing, the hefty price of £54.99, and the 128 meg cart size. Multiplayer supports 2 players, Norsa. This page is continuing the review of Top Gear Rally for the N64. Right then, so they're talking about different game modes, specifically time attack, which is pretty standard stuff. Beat your best time, race against a ghost car. You know the drill. Then they move on to weather, or not, which is actually quite good for the time, makes things a bit trickier, with fog, rain and snow, affecting visibility and how the cars handle. Night driving is mentioned as being particularly tough, fair enough, can barely see a thing back then in these games, even with headlights. They've got screenshots showing off these different weather and time conditions. You can see how it impacts the racing. And finally, they show off the car selection at the bottom of the page: Escort Cosworth, Toyota Celica, Toyota Supra, and a BMW M3. They list the max speed, acceleration and drive type for each. All pretty solid rally motors from the era, good choices. Overall, it seems like they're highlighting the variety and realism they've packed into Top Gear Rally, which for a 64 racer, was actually pretty decent back in '97, even at that price they mentioned. This segment reviews several racing games for the N64, beginning with the surge of rally games after Mario Kart 64. Multi-Racing Championship is similar to Top Gear Rally, but less challenging. The review then covers San Francisco Rush, a conversion with stunts, and Lamborghini, which lacks the thrills of Top Gear Rally, but anticipates a 4-player mode. Top Gear Rally's camera views and tuning options are examined, offering standard cockpit and chase views, and limited car customization. The review concludes with a mention of Rev Limit, a promising racer from SETA, overseen by Nintendo, due out in spring '98, promising advanced features but with a wait. Top Gear Rally for the N64 is reviewed, showcasing its tracks: coastline, easy, jungle, wet, desert, canyons, and mountain, winding with shortcuts. The game receives high marks: graphics, 89% for sharp cars and weather effects, playability, 91% for realistic handling, and lastability, 88% for its challenging gameplay. Sound, 65%, is decent, though the music is criticized. Overall, it scores 89%, touted as the best N64 rally game currently. Reviewer Paul Glancy praises its challenge and realism, specifically comparing it favorably to Multi-Racing Championship, even calling the latter rubbish. This page is a full-page advert for Duke Nukem 64. Right at the top it's got a massive quote, "Buy it now and have a blast," which is pretty much shouting at you. Underneath that it says, 91% the official Nintendo magazine, so they're really pushing that magazine score, aren't they? Then there's a picture of Mario giving a thumbs up. Bit cheeky considering Duke Nukem is definitely not your usual Mario fare. It's got the official Nintendo magazine logo, with "Essential Buy" plastered across it. Below all that in big, chunky lettering, is the Duke Nukem 64 logo, looking all gritty and explosive. It's funny to think of Duke Nukem on the N64 back then. It was a bit of a surprise to see something so well grown up on a Nintendo console. Still, a 91% from the official mag. They must have really rated it, even if it was a bit of an odd fit for the N64's usual family-friendly image. This page is another full-on advert for Duke Nukem 64, carrying on from the last one. It's got Duke himself, looking as macho as ever, stood right on top of a Nintendo 64 console, blasting away at some poor alien blighters. Explosions everywhere in the background, proper Duke Nukem style. They're really pushing the boat out to get this game noticed on the N64, aren't they? You can see all the logos down at the bottom: 3D Realms, GT Interactive, and the big N64 logo to remind you what platform it's for. Yep, still trying to convince you to buy Duke Nukem 64. This page is a review for Mace, the Dark Age on the N64. Right then, Mace, yes, I remember this one. It's getting a decent write-up here. They're saying it's satisfying if you're after some depraved martial arts action. Plotline, schmotline as they say, it's the usual guff about a powerful artifact, the Mace of Tanis in this case, and world domination. It's a beat-em-up, or fighting game as we'd call it, set in the Middle Ages. They are highlighting the special kill moves, with some screenshots, showcasing characters like Al-Rashid getting a bad case of wind apparently, and poor old Taria getting the full effect. There's also Hell Knight, opening the gates of Hades, and Deimos stamping the ground. All the usual over-the-top special moves you'd expect. Environmentally friendly is another section. Looks like you can use the backgrounds to your advantage, which was a bit of a novelty back then. The fact box says it's a beat-em-up, 12 players, versus mode, on a 64 meg cart, no battery save, and doesn't use a memory pack. Price and release date are still to be announced, published by GT Interactive. Seems like they reckon it's a good bit of bloody fun for the N64, if that's your cup of tea. Mace. The Dark Age boasts a diverse roster of fighters. The main cast includes heavy hitters like the Executioner and Lord Deimos, alongside the Viking Rhaegar Bloodaxe, the agile Koyasha, and the sorceress Countess Taria. Al-Rashid, the silent assassin, and Takeshi Tsutsumi, the corrupted samurai, offer further variety. Namira, Xiaolong, Mordoskul, Sir Dragon, and Hell Knight round out the initial selection. Hidden characters add further flair. Pojo, transformed into a chicken, and Warmech, a beer barrel droid, offer comedic relief. Grendel, a demonic rival, and Ichiro, Takeshi's corrupted brother, provide intriguing plot hooks. This eclectic mix of archetypes, from classic fantasy tropes to unique concepts, embodies the character-driven style of fighting games from that era. This review of Mace, The Dark Age highlights its brutal finishing moves and easy controls, praising its graphics, sound and playability, resulting in an 89% score. The reviewer, Alex C., enjoys the game's two-player mode and considers it a strong addition to the N64 library, particularly as a Christmas title. The review also covers other N64 fighting games. Killer Instinct Gold receives an 84%, Mortal Kombat Trilogy gets a harsh 56%, and other titles like Duel Heroes, Fighting Cup, Dark Rift, and GAS Page are either not reviewed or mentioned briefly, with varying degrees of anticipation or criticism. Special Reserve is advertising a Nintendo 64 price crash, offering the console with a controller for £99.99 and a Fire Pack bundle for £132.99. They promote a membership scheme offering magazines, cheat books, and a free gift upon joining. The ad features classic N64 games like Mario 64 and GoldenEye, plus Super NES titles. Beyond the N64, they sell Pocket Game Boys, PlayStation games, and a variety of controllers, memory cards, and cables. The ad also includes a Sony TV and a Pentium PC system. Special Reserve accepts mail and phone orders and offers pay later options for orders over £250. They have physical stores in multiple locations across England. This page is a review for the N64 game, Lamborghini. It kicks off by saying, despite some early worries after the E3 showing, the final version has turned out alright. It seems like Titus, the developers, were having a crack at the N64 market, and this was their debut. They reckon it's got a tough job going up against the likes of Diddy Kong Racing and Top Gear Rally this Christmas. They're giving Lamborghini a fair shot as an underdog, suggesting it might surprise people. The review highlights a key change from earlier versions. You can only race as Lamborghinis now. Bit of a Need for Speed vibe, focusing on one brand. Apparently, before you could choose other sports cars like Ferraris and Porsches, but those are now CPU-controlled opponents. They reckon they might become playable later in the game. They mention each Lamborghini handles differently, some prioritizing power over handling, and you get the choice of automatic or manual gears. Gameplay-wise, they point out the track has shortcuts and aids to help with cornering, like arrows that change color, depending on how sharp the bend is. The game info box confirms it's a racing sim for 14 players with multiplayer modes for 24 players. It's a 64 meg cart and saves are supported, so no memory card needed for that at least. Price is £54.99, which was pretty standard for a new N64 game back then. The Lamborghini review details several gameplay modes. Filler Up focuses on car damage, requiring pit stops for repairs and fuel, managed with the 3D stick. Hit the Track introduces 4 single-player modes: Arcade, Novice and Expert levels, Championship, Season mode with Expert option, Single Race, Quick Race on any track, and Time Trials, Lap time challenges with ghost data saving. The multiplayer section, For All of Us, highlights battles for up to 4 players in Arcade, Championship, and Single Race modes, including CPU opponents for added challenge. The game offers 6 tracks and standard features, like Mirror Mode for increased difficulty. This review of Lamborghini for the N64 highlights its strengths and weaknesses. The game offers standard camera views, including behind-the-wheel and behind-the-car perspectives. Shortcuts are present, potentially leading to off-track detours. The game supports the rumble pack, adding a slight vibration. The reviewer, Sean White, finds the graphics adequate, and the cars appear squashed, but acknowledges the impressive first-person speed. He considers it an average racer. The game scores 76% overall. Graphics are rated 75, sound 82 despite muffled speech, playability 80 with light handling, and lastability 81, due to decent CPU and multiplayer. The review concludes that Lamborghini is a decent racer, but doesn't stand out compared to other N64 racing titles. This page is a full-page advert for San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing on the N64. It's got these rather striking stylized cars, a bright yellow one in the foreground, and it's all about capturing that feel the rush feeling. Pretty typical marketing of the time. You can see a few small screenshots showing some of the racing action and the car selection screen. Down at the bottom there's the game title and the publisher logos, Midway and GT Interactive, along with the Nintendo 64 logo. Seems like they were really pushing this one back in the day for the N64. This review of Mischief Makers on the N64, reminiscent of 90s gaming magazines, highlights its quirky nature. The game, developed by Treasure and published by Enix, features Marina, an ultra-intergalactic Seabot G, on a mission to save Professor Theo from the Clancers. Gameplay involves 2D side-scrolling platforming with a unique twist, including crystal collection for power-ups and using clanpot weapons. The reviewer mentions collecting flowers for inventory upgrades and spinning wheels. The game's release date was December 12, 1997, and cost £49.99. The review praises Mischief Makers for its puzzles, platforms, and intriguing quirkiness, stating it's a good choice for fans of odd platformers, giving it an overall score of 82% and recommending it as a weird but oddly wonderful experience. This page is a full-page advert for Top Gear Rally on the N64. Blimey, remember that one? Buckle up, it shouts. Fair enough, it was a decent racer back in the day. They're pushing it as the best racing simulation for the N64 according to Nintendo Magazine itself, which is a bit cheeky considering their, well, Nintendo Magazine. It mentions 5 tracks, 4 racing modes, variable weather, multi-camera angles, action replay, and custom spray shop, all the bells and whistles for the time. 9 cars, tweakable tire pressure, suspension, steering settings, the whole lot. It's got all the usual N64 badges of honor down the bottom: 64-bit power, 94 mHz speed, rumble pack support, stereo sound, precision control, multiplayer, and a 90% score from G4 magazine, whoever they were. Probably just another gaming mag back then. The fastest, most powerful games console on Earth, they proclaim. Typical N64 bravado, those were the days. Good solid racer though, if you were into your rally games back then. Chameleon Twist, and 64 platformer from Ocean, features a chameleon protagonist warped to a puzzle-filled world. The game, touted as a tongue-tied tiddler, allows players to control a chameleon with tongue-based abilities for platforming and combat. Players can choose from 4 characters, each with unique tongue-based moves like long jumps and javelins. The review mentions the game's blocky graphics and various levels. Multiplayer is hinted at as a potential positive. The game was to be released on December 5, 1997, and featured a battle mode for up to 4 players. It was published by Ocean, and was featured in the official UK Nintendo magazine on page 82. Chameleon Twist is a platformer where players collect crowns across 6 worlds. While the game offers a multiplayer battle mode, the review is mixed. The reviewer finds the game easy, with helpful on-screen hints. Though the controls are good, the levels and bosses are too easy. Graphics are adequate but not amazing, and multiplayer is considered cluttered. The reviewer calls it a little puzzler, and a strange one, that doesn't live up to the hype of other N64 games. The review gives scores for different elements like strategy, action, and originality, with an overall score of 77%. The reviewer ultimately advises sticking with Super Mario 64 instead, suggesting the game is decent but not groundbreaking. FIFA Road to World Cup 98 for the N64 aims to redeem the series after underwhelming previous entries. EA promises a refined experience, incorporating feedback from UK football experts for improved realism. The game boasts graphical and gameplay enhancements. Players can choose from various international and league teams, including the Premier League. Des Lynam and John Motson provide commentary. The main mode follows the Road to World Cup, with qualifiers and knockout stages, alongside friendly matches and 5-a-side. Though still unsure if it surpasses ISS 64, the game is touted as the most realistic-looking football title on the N64 to date, sparking cautious optimism about its quality. This page showcases Bomberman 64 for the Nintendo 64. It's a full-page advert, very eye-catching with that orange fuse graphic winding its way down the page. The tagline is shouting about insane explosive multiplayer action, which is spot on for Bomberman really. It was always about getting your mates round and blowing each other up, wasn't it? Bomberman himself is there holding a classic bomb, looking ready for action. Down the right side, they've got the standard N64 BOSS boxes, you know the drill. 64-bit power, 94 MHz speed, 3D environment, all the buzzwords they were throwing around back then. Stereo sound, precision control, and multiplayer are all ticked off too. And the price point at £49.99 RRP, which was pretty standard for a new N64 game if I recall correctly. At the bottom, in big red letters, it declares the N64 as the fastest, most powerful games console on Earth. Bit of a bold statement, but at the time it certainly felt that way, especially with games like Bomberman 64 showing off what it could do in 3D. It's a solid advert, gets straight to the point, and reminds you why you'd want to pick up Bomberman on your N64. Simple, effective, like most N64 marketing was. This page is a retro advertisement for N64 products. It highlights the console itself for £89.99, with minor accessory discounts. Games like Diddy Kong Racing are featured with controller bundles, while a general list of N64 games like Blast Corps and Yoshi's Island are priced between £28.99 and £50, although the prices for blockbusters like GoldenEye 007 and Zelda, Ocarina of Time are call-only. Bundles are also promoted, including Mischief Makers with a memory card, GoldenEye 007 with a Tremor or Rumble Pack, and various racing games paired together. Lilat Wars and Extreme G also get bundled deals. The advertisement also pushes a wide array of controllers, from official ones to shark pads and arcade sticks, along with steering wheels. The page aims to provide N64 enthusiasts with everything they needed, from games to accessories. This advertisement showcases a variety of retro gaming items. It begins with N64 accessories like rumble packs and games, highlighting titles such as San Francisco Rush, priced at a premium for the time. The ad then moves to Game Boy and Super NES, offering hardware, games like Street Fighter II and Super Mario World, and accessories at lower price points. It also features the silver Game Boy Pocket with Tetris, deemed expensive even then. Towards the end, the ad includes the PlayStation for £119.99, with classic games like Final Fantasy VII, Time Crisis, and Crash Bandicoot 2. Finally, it concludes with a section on trading N64 games and a standard order form, making it a typical retro game advertisement. The Club Mario Letters page features complaints and queries from readers. Matthew from Bristol laments the lack of good beat-em-ups on the N64, seeking controller advice and sparking a console war debate. The magazine recommends a SharkPad Pro 64 for Killer Instinct Gold. David from Belshire is offended by the magazine calling the SNES ancient, leading to an apology and acknowledgement of its classics. Nick from Stoke-on-Trent asks for advice on getting his dad to stop hogging his non-64, to which the magazine suggests his dad chip in for the console and suggesting multiplayer games like GoldenEye. The page also mentions reader prizes, memory cards, force feedback units, and t-shirts, and a random anecdote about a Cafe Mario. The letters section of the magazine features reader submissions and responses. Rubberman initiated a contest for stretched Mario faces. A comic strip, Capi 0064, was also included. Pop Babe Blunder highlights a correction of a Japanese pop star's name, with the magazine blaming their proofreader. Readers also debate SNES game placement and differences between Doom 64 and Turok. Dinosaur Hunter, with the magazine defending Turok. Diathinkosaurus inquires about cut dinosaur enemies in Turok. Finally, a reader questions the review scores of Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, and ISS 64, which the magazine dodges, and the issue's picture of the month showcases James Banjo artwork, with Turok being the prize. This page features reader interaction, beginning with a discussion about a fan-made Super Mario Wars 64, a 3D shooter concept. Next, a reader shares box art for Zelda 64. A letter from a reader in London seeks help finding the Super NES game Chrono Trigger, which wasn't originally released in the UK. The response suggests sourcing it through importers or used game stores. A comic strip called Time Traveler follows, deemed silly, then a FAQ section. This section addresses questions about the 64-DAID's modem capabilities, confirming online play, and Rumble Pack support for several games. The release date and price for Diddy Kong Racing are confirmed. Finally, the FAQ touches upon the potential for a Super Metroid N64 game. The page concludes with another comic, Racing. This magazine page features reader letters covering various topics. Blind as a Bat sees a reader seeking 64 game recommendations after enjoying Mario 64 and Kart 64. The editor recommends titles like Extreme G, despite the reader's skepticism, plus several other racing and action games. Another letter criticizes the magazine's perceived decline. Spicy Girls showcases a reader's Mario-themed Spice Girls artwork. C-Mail involves a reader discussing online gaming and a Datel t-shirt giveaway. A Chicken Fried C details a prank idea involving an electric shock controller. Do him a favor features harsh criticism of the editor, answered with a playful jab. The page concludes with Seal's Most Wanted, a Christmas-themed feature. A Name That Game quiz reveals the word Klangursi. This page has a preview for Forsaken 64, looking like a decent enough sci-fi shooter. It's got that classic Hazan 64 look, a bit blurry and textured, but you can see what they're going for with the futuristic speeder bikes and tunnel environments. They've got a few screenshots showing the gameplay. You're blasting through these corridors, weapons blazing, looks like you're up against some kind of robotic pigs, which is a bit daft, but par for the course back then. The text hypes up the action, talking about danger looms and square UP with death, bit dramatic in it. They even quote someone saying, "Gord, there's two of the pigs out there." Classic over-the-top gaming mag stuff from the late 90s. It's pushing the whole speed and action angle. Seems like it could be a decent blast if you're into that type of thing. Definitely got that early 3D vibe going on. Reminds me of games like Descent, but on consoles. Forsaken 64 introduces a bleak future setting with various characters. Beard, a bounty hunter, is the gruff archetype. Ninsu Sin, a babe with the blades, offers a surprising mix. Locusena is a genetically enhanced warrior, while Leger, a cash-driven killer, fits the American stereotype. The game's story involves a scorched earth, robot and mech combat, and the player's mission to kick ass. The N64 version deviates from the PC version, with different levels and gameplay mechanics, including online multiplayer instead of split screen. Early screenshots suggest fast-paced action within tunnel environments, typical for the platform. This piece details the level creation process for the N64 game, Shadow Man. The developers use a three-stage process. First, wireframes build the basic 3D structure. Then, flat render adds textures and color, bringing the level to life. Finally, shaded render incorporates lighting to create atmosphere and polish the look. The text then pivots to promoting Shadow Man itself, emphasizing its dark and scary nature, comparing it favorably, and rather harshly, to Resident Evil. The game features two contrasting worlds, live side, ordinary life, and the spooky, dead side. The developers highlight the game's horror elements and point to a positive review score to build anticipation. This page previews two N64 titles, Forsaken 64 and Shadow Man. Forsaken 64 showcases its weapons like the close-range scatter and the powerful Titan, and the boss Manmech, a half-man, half-tank hybrid. The game also features diverse enemies, including tanks, missile turrets, and agile airborne hunters. Shadow Man introduces Mike Leroy, a hard assassin, and his undead alter ego, Shadow Man. The article highlights the game's immersive, scary atmosphere, blending action with supernatural elements for a believable and gripping experience, with a focus on voodoo. The page concludes by suggesting the game is best played on dark nights, and promotes tie-in comic books. Overall, it emphasizes the dark and gritty nature of these N64 games. Forsaken 64 is hyped as a multiplayer-focused N64 game. It features various multiplayer modes, including head-to-head, 4-player chaos, and AI battles. Mission types range from collecting and defending objectives to straightforward destruction and clearing enemies. Boss battles with unique areas and weapons are promised. Early impressions from the developers, Iguana, highlight impressive graphics, sound, and eye. Though handling is a minor concern, they are optimistic about the game's potential. Monthly updates are planned, promising reveals of new weapons, bosses, and other content, suggesting a significant marketing effort. This retailer is aggressively promoting N64 consoles and games with competitive pricing. They are offering numerous console bundles with popular titles like Mario Kart 64 and GoldenEye, starting at £93.99. They also feature a wide selection of UK N64 games, covering various genres. For those seeking variety, they provide a selection of US N64 imports, along with an adapter. The website highlights a trade-in program for used games and sells accessories like steering wheels, memory cards, and cables. Finally, they're also heavily promoting the Virtual Boy, with affordable prices for both the console and games. Ordering information and payment options are also readily available. The next issue promises a deep dive into 1998's biggest games. Declassified features on GoldenEye 007 are highlighted, promising secrets, followed by coverage of The Legend of Zelda 64. The issue boasts more free gifts and over 50 pages of tips. Reviews include FIFA, Road to World Cup, San Francisco Rush, Bomberman 64, and Clayfighter 63 1/3. The magazine is promoted as the first and best for news, reviews, cheats, players' guides and tips, available December 22nd. Simon Clays is the editor and Sean White is reviews editor, with subscription information included. This page is a full-page advert for Donkey Kong Land 2E on the Game Boy. Ah, the Game Boy, remember those? Anyway, this one's shouting about Mega Monkey action in 36 feet Kong-sized levels, which sounds like typical Nintendo marketing speak, but Donkey Kong games were generally pretty solid back then, even on the handhelds. It's pushing the platform adventure angle and letting you know it's out now, so this is likely around the Christmas rush period they were talking about on the last page, trying to get it into stockings. Can't say I spent too much time on the Game Boy version myself. The SNES Donkey Kong Country games were where it was at, but if you were on the go, I guess this filled a gap. This page is a full-page advert for FIFA Road to World Cup 98 on the Game Boy. Right then, there's a picture of a young David Beckham, looking all serious, in an England kit. The ad blurb is boasting about him keeping world-class opposition in his pocket next summer, which is a bit cheeky, even for Becks in 98. Then it asks, why don't you do the same? Implying you can be just like him, well, in a virtual football game at least, on your trusty old Game Boy. It's now available on Game Boy, so they are really pushing this for the handheld market at the time. You've got the THQ logo they were kicking about back then, and the EA Sports one too, so you know it's the proper FIFA licensed thing. And of course the France 98 World Cup branding is all over it, remember Footix? Yeah, good times.